Hi guys, welcome to the check-in. Thought I would make a late night video about desperation, depression, for me depression is an ongoing, troublesome, annoyance, because it's like a never-ending series of storms. It sort of comes and you see it coming from a distance, and then you experience it, and it drifts off and disappears. But then before you know it, it's back again. Often when I lay here at night, sometimes I see things online that just make me question just everything about what I just I hate to say my own species really in many ways, because it's just disgraceful, utterly disgusting what we as a species, and we are all involved to some degree, are all involved in just a massive web of confusion, lies, greed, selfishness, manipulation, just deceit. We're all involved in it to some degree or other, whether it's our relationships with our partners, our social life, our friends, our families, or just even with ourselves. Of course, none of us are perfect, but we could be a shitload better. I look back sometimes through various things online, and just sometimes when I listen to music or watch a film or I see architecture or I just study or read, I think of all the potential we have as a species. We do have potential. We have so much in us, so much drive, so much willingness to learn and to evolve, and we have in many ways, and we still are, but we just can't seem to overcome some of the most basic, damn right primitive patterns within ourselves. It just seems just such a shame. So this is Depression Diaries number 3. Although you probably guessed that already. A lot of things run through my mind at night. Not every night, but a fair few. Will I wake up in the morning? What will my life have meant? What have I left behind? Do any of those things matter? Am I even depressed? Am I just bored? Is my mind going into overdrive because my brain's trying to settle down or something? Or am I just obsessed with myself? Am I obsessed with creating some psychological part of myself that doesn't actually really exist? Or does it exist and I'm just trying to push it away? Or I'm trying to confirm it in myself? I sometimes don't know what to say about life, existing, being human, what it really means to be human. But yet I always feel the need to come back and say something, think something. And that's, I guess, kind of what being human is, isn't it, to some degree? Thinking, learning, trying to seek and adapt through the things that we learn. Well, how much knowledge is useful in the end? How much of it is adaptable when, as I said, some of the core elements of our early brain more or less just won't allow it. And I think with the advances in technology, we've just become more and more just shells, really, just hollow, transparent, just what do you say about a species anymore? What can be said that hasn't already been said? Why do I feel the need to make these videos? What do I have to say that's of any importance? What can I really offer or bring to the table? Nothing. Is there really any point in highlighting such problems of the world, of our own kind, if I'm not willing to do anything about it myself? Probably not. But yet I still feel the need to do something. I guess really this whole platform for me has become a bit of a diary, sort of biography to some extent, or rather an autobiography. It's a strange world we live in now. It's always been a strange world. It's always been a confusing mess of meaninglessness, really. And perhaps you're thinking, well, that's a rather depressive look on it. The truth is, I am a depressive person. With that, it obviously has an effect on my outlook on life and my attitude towards life. And that's true, but I also think there's a lot of truth in the things that I see as well. I just see the raw outline of reality, really, a lot of the time. And I think that seems to come to life more at night, when I have time to escape the utter chaoticness that the world is now. Just a constant digital bombardment, zeros and ones, and it's just such a world of sourness now. Vile dog shit. I just sometimes I just wish I wasn't part of it anymore. But yet there's always something that's stopping me. I can't put my finger on what it is. I don't know if it's just that I'm just too scared, or I feel like I've got something to live for somewhere, or I just feel like I'm just going through the endless stages of cycles of depression. I don't know, but and I feel like I'm gonna get out of it eventually. I don't really know what it is, but something keeps pulling me back. Probably fear, really. I think once you see the world for what it is, and I don't just mean in negative terms, I think once you see the world fully, it can be, well, not complete. You can't ever completely see everything, because that would be an incredibly bold and false statement. But I think once you live to a certain extent, I think there's only so much you can experience and learn beyond that point. I think there's a point in life where you learn to a certain degree what's perhaps some of the most important lessons, even though you weren't even actually searching for them or wanting to learn. I hate to say that life is some kind of a conscious, decision-making maker on my behalf, because it's obviously to a fraction of to a fraction. There is a certain level of things just being what they are, and things panning out the way they are. A series of coincidences, accidents, reactions, knock-on effects, consequences, poor decisions, good decisions, everything that's, spiral into the next thing, into the next thing. Sometimes I'm just confused about life. There's no, like I said in another video, for me there isn't really any meaning, and that's one of the most depressing things to me. And sometimes when I'm going through a bad stage, is I feel like I need one, but I know deep down I don't. There's just so much suffering and there's completely unnecessary suffering in the world. And I think that we're very arrogant in the Western world in some ways. We think that we're not contributing towards it. Or maybe not directly, but indirectly we're just as responsible in some ways for our own arrogance, for our own ignorance. And sometimes we just don't know. We just don't know any different. We just, we get sort of trapped in our own little culture bubble, and we don't want to see anything differently. And I think that's one of the major things that happens when you travel, is that you realise that you have, your country, your people, to some extent, have kind of a role to play in the world, just as everybody else, as citizens of the same planet, do. Really, ultimately. Of course, some people are more fortunate than others. Some people are poor as fuck and will never be able to really better themselves or get out of the situations they're in. We're fortunate in the Western world because even though things are getting steadily worse, there's still so much hope, there's still so much potential there. Whereas in perhaps other parts of the world, I'm not so sure that is the case. Depression is something that is judgmental. It's something that's... It's like depression is a bit like being in a room with 10 completely different personalities, and they're all trying to talk to you, but you don't want to listen to any of them. You're just doing what you want to do. Maybe you just sat down, enjoying a moment of peace, and suddenly you're faced with this intimidating racket that won't go away. It's very persistent. And after a while, one by one, they disappear. But you know they're coming back at some point. One by one. The noise increases. But if you can get through those things, you can learn a lot. So if life does have any meaning, which I'm 99.9% sure that it doesn't in any way really, if it does, it's really just about survival. And part of the process of survival is to learn. If you can't learn, you can't adapt, you might as well be dead. Good night. Thanks for checking in with me. See you soon.